Hello everyone, welcome to the Victoria Newman Show. Or should I say the late Ms. Newman. Well boys gang, today we're in reflection of that beautiful, dapper VP-elect who waltzed into the show with a vendetta against Vought and a 2,000-watt smile to carry out. Only to surprise us with a head-splattering frenzy and an atomic twist about her being the adoptive daughter of Stan Edgar, Vought's former chair. Her forever twisting and turning story had only one constant. She was always in cruise control mode on a straight track to the White House. She teamed up with Homelander to clear her way too, but in the boys' world, nothing stays constant forever. In a mega twist in the season 4 finale, the woman all of a sudden won it out. And then the Cirque du Soleil contortionist level twist happened, when Billy Butcher's new tentacles split Miss Newman apart like the Red Sea. And oh my god, she's dead. We can't help but wonder, isn't there anything she could have done to save herself? What happened to her insane head-popping powers? Let's take a look at why Victoria Newman's powers failed her at the lethal juncture with Billy Butcher, and even earlier than that against Homelander, who bullied her time and again. Before we go on, we have a tiny request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing. It's a small click for you, but it means a lot for us. Thank you so much. Let's get to it. Victoria Newman's fall. Victoria Newman was a shrewd woman who made quite a bang in the Boys Prime series, as a patient, exacting type who was laser-focused on her goals. While she may have been a two-faced congresswoman who advocated Vought should be brought to the table for its use of Compound V, and simultaneously helped Vought on the sly, her aspirations shifted as she progressed in her political career. Victoria became more and more doubtful about the consequences of the path she'd taken for her daughter Zoe. Earlier in season 4, she seemed to fasten and sever ties with only one thing in mind: her road to the White House. Unfortunately, or maybe one can say fortunately, the realization of how she would be a puppet on Homelander's strings once she entered the Oval Office came upon her, even though it was all a little too late. As the boys managed to save Robert Singer, the president-elect, from the shapeshifter who was assigned to assassinate him, Victoria began to feel quite safe. She knew Singer wanted to put her out, and she was in deep with Homelander too. So much so that whatever he wanted, she would have to provide. She felt stuck. The only remaining piece on the checkerboard that she could really move was the boys. So she ran to them, seeking their compassionate sensibilities, or in other words, Huey, in order to find safety for Zoe and herself. But we all know the thing about desperation. Nothing good ever comes from it, but you're compelled to act on it anyway. But how did Homelander engulf Victoria's existence to the point where she wanted to leave her lifelong pursuit of being a successful politician? Why was Newman so ineffective in bending Homelander to her will? Let's take a closer look at why Victoria found herself so limited with options against Homelander, and in the end, Butcher. Victoria's power limitations. One would think that a person who can explode about a bench full of whistleblowers and lawyers' heads as she did at the congressional hearing against Vought would be powerful enough to do just about anybody. And she was a gifted actress. Hardly anybody knew she was a soup. That's clearly a credit to Stan Edgar's upbringing as well. Since he became her adoptive father, Edgar made sure Victoria was very discreet about her soup identity. Victoria Newman's powers, similar to Marie Moreau in Gen V, a boys spin-off, are blood manipulation. However, Newman is more experienced and has better control than young Moreau. She's able to control her own blood as well as that of the people around her, and even those at a considerable distance. Remember the time she killed Adana by watching him through a window as she stood all the way across the street? She could also detect things within people's blood and was able to tell who had Compound V in their bloodstream and who didn't, a skill she taught Marie Moreau when she was visiting Goldokan University in the Gen V series. But there are some shortfalls in her power package, and here we uncover some things that got her in the red when it came to affecting Homelander or Butcher. While she was stronger than an average Jane and decently durable, she didn't hold a candle to top-tier soups like Homelander, Queen Maeve, or Soldier Boy. Also, she lacked combat training and couldn't swing a headlock to save her life. This means she wouldn't be able to get past even Kimiko in that area, as Kimiko packs a 6 strength and skill combo. Moreover, she doesn't have the greatest regenerative healing and would not be able to recover from a blunt force attack by a strong soup, so she's very lucky to have highly invulnerable skin, impervious to bullets and acid. Her blood manipulation powers may have limitations as well, at least when she's trying to use them on stronger soups. Most importantly, she needs a direct line of sight for her victim. Victoria cannot control a person's blood flow to a fatal level unless she can see them. Sure, she can cause minor upsets like nosebleeds, but there's no evidence that she has affected anyone without having a good look at them. We see her eyes fog up when she does her thing, although we didn't catch that at all in the congressional hearing massacre. What does that mean for her failure to control Homelander? I think we all know the answer to that.
I'm not literally a
Why Victoria's powers don't work on Homelander. There had been much speculation on whether Victoria would kill Homelander before she was taken apart in season 4's finale. And call me crazy, but I think she had an actual shot, and I have no idea why she didn't have Samir going extra hard cooking her some soup virus as soon as he'd gotten in touch with her. He'd contacted her after he escaped Butcher's captivity, and Newman expressed her displeasure about his missing leg on a phone call with Huey. But this is my point. The Victoria killing Homelander speculation was never about her overwhelming him with her powers. It's a well-established fact that Homelander was too strong for her her to head pop her way past him once she got hers. It was about her having the smarts and acumen to get him into a compromising position and administer the soup virus she had Samir and his crew working on earlier. Homelander is one of the most powerful villains that has ever stepped into the boys' world. In fact, he's one of the most iconic comic-to-web series adaptations world in general. And when it comes to the most evil and wayward character, he takes the #1 spot without a shadow of a doubt. In the public eye, he's as big as pop icons can get. He's considered a hero who saves lives, a beloved actor and a celebrity. Outside common public knowledge, he's the de facto head of Vought, which we all know is a major corporation with its fingers dipped in all the sweet pots. And he is the Mr. Insuperable. Like, literally invincible when it comes to suit powers. It's like the guy was made to cause an apocalypse. The boys have been trying to find a way to beat him since their conception. Queen Maeve tried having a go at him, but she didn't cause much more than a bleeding ear. Plus a dent. The guy's flying around catching planes and shooting them down. He's way ahead of Victoria Newman, too far for her to even try her luck. And she didn't. Smart girl. But Butcher's a different story. He's only just a new soup on the block. So why didn't Victoria overpower him before he had a chance to do her dirty?
No deals.
I can explain.
Why didn't Victoria's powers work on Butcher? How did Butcher so easily overpower Victoria and bespatter her all over the floor? Was she just taken by surprise? Was it because Butcher sprung his tentacles quickly to blindfold Victoria first, before going head-to-head with his butchery? Well, it's a bit of both. When the boys are talking with Victoria and Butcher walks into the place, there's something noticeably menacing about him. He's got a look. But even as he impresses upon the boys that there should be no deal with Victoria Newman, no one could have guessed that he had murderous blue-green tentacles waiting to burst out from under the black threads and rip Victoria in half. Victoria was definitely caught off guard. Also, Butcher's tumor-fostered tentacles are fast, really fast. They wrap themselves around Victoria's eyes without any words or warning. Well, Butcher has a history of knowing his way around soups, and even though he's one himself now, his soup-slaying mentality is ever intact. In fact, it's the reason he gorged himself on all that V, to level the playing field a little. When we see Victoria's torn body afterward, her eyes look fogged up, so maybe she did try to use her powers, but her reflexes were a tad lazy on the occasion. Also, Victoria wasn't strong enough to shake off the tentacles binding her body, which just goes to show that she isn't the toughest of the soups out there in terms of physical strength. There's still a mystery around Butcher's powers, as we don't know what he and his stretchy friends are capable of. Sure, they can unfurl through his body, 8 or 9 at a time, spread far, and are strong enough to pick up a person and split them in half, or pop their insides like a Pepsi can and splatter them all over a vanity van. But there's no certainty about how much trauma Butcher can physically endure. His durability is a big question mark, as he hasn't been in a solid fight, albeit the Ezekiel encounter, since becoming a full-fledged soup. While Victoria was no slacker, Butcher got her by a quick-witted blindfold, and it'll be interesting to see what happens when he faces the likes of Homelander, or maybe even Soldier Boy once he's been awakened from his cryo snooze. Marvelous verdict. Victoria Newman was a special character, and her dynamic storyline kept us hoping she'd have a greater role to play in the final installment of The Boys, joining forces against Homelander. But all good things must come to an end, and in the boys' world, that comes with a caveat of horrible, painful death. Her powers, though extraordinary, had limitations that Butcher used to subdue her, and he did make it look easy. As far as Homelander goes, Victoria was never about to use her powers on him. It would do nothing except tick him off, and that's a death nail right there. Her powers just did not match up. Well, that leaves us with our villain-in-chief, hale and hearty as always, doesn't it? And we're left to wonder, even if Homelander launches a full-on coup, like he does in the comics, who will be the one to lock horns with him and eventually kill him? Poetic justice will only be served if it's Butcher. But there's also Ryan and now Soldier Boy. Who do you think will be the significant other in that face-off? Let us know in the comments. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Bye for now, take care.